gonna be talking about the art of debating and tips on public speaking. Charlie was born and raised in the Bronx. His mother was a registrar at Hostess 1987. Charlie graduated from Hunter College. Charlie was also a part of the Model Senate UN in 2009, and he became a member faculty of the Model Senate since then. He is currently a vice president at the New York City Economic Developmental Corporation, advising city policies across the Bronx, Manhattan, and Staten Island. Ladies and gentlemen, Charlie Samboy.
Hi everyone. So my name is Charlie. Welcome to all of you. Thank you for having me. Today we're going to go. I know some of the students here today participated in the Model Senate program. For those of you that haven't heard about it, it's a program where you get immersed into state politics, sort of understanding how politicians make their decisions. And you sort of research a particular piece of legislation, and then ultimately go to Albany to debate that piece of legislation amongst each other. So it's a really good program to learn, not just about government, but about politics, and then the topic of today, which is learning how to debate and how to do good public speaking. So we'll dive right into it just to make the most of our time. I'm going to go through a few examples about public speaking, about debating, some of the concepts that help begin a conversation. So it's not going to be like me lecturing, but sort of I'll be asking you to help me sort of define some concepts. And then we'll do an exercise, depending, we'll break up into some number of groups to actually practice debating and public speaking. And then, after I answer any questions, I can go on. So how many, we have words on the screen, but I just sort of want to ask the group, what do people define as debating? When you think about debate, what sort of comes to mind? Yeah. A dilemma? Yeah. Okay. That's possible.
Also, debating is when you are talking about your topic with another person, and the person has a different opinion.
Okay, so talking with someone that
has a different opinion, or maybe even like the same opinion, but they're debating whether it should be done one way or the other.
Okay. Anything else? Yeah. Speak louder so that they can hear you. Okay, great. So I heard conversation, talking, deliberating. Civilized argument. That could be the case. So I wrote here is to consider something, to deliberate, I think that was mentioned, present opposing positions, that is that would be back, present that. So I think what I wrote here is a working definition. It's an exercise to obtain a favorable outcome through logistical consistency and factual accuracy with some degree of emotional appeal. So, now you can go back. So favorable outcome means you're not debating because you want to be, for the other person to be right. You're debating because you think that your point of view is right. You're not debating because you want the other person to feel as though they lost, but there's a favorable outcome that comes out sort of for both parties that are involved. So in what instances or who participates when we think about a debate? Who are the participants that are in that space when people are debating? Yeah. But who? Like who was that person? Okay.
Okay. Yeah. It could be a student and a professor, it could be a student and a student, it could be...
So give me an example of that. A student and a student.
Oh, okay. The students arguing whether or not in the Bronx should have better education.
Okay.
Students arguing whether or not Manhattan should get more money than the Bronx when it comes to education.
Okay. Member Crafton, hold. Yeah.
Everyone can debate anything from.
Sure.
Because it has to be a politician
Yeah.
or.
Has anyone here participated in a debate? Can you give me an example?
In the past.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was years ago, and I remember the topic that I was part of the debate.
Did you win?
Yes, okay.
You forgot.
Yes.
Yeah.
The last week, my class we had a debate about social media is good for us. And I was part of those that say that it's good in some aspects because social media helps us to find jobs, to communicate,
Yeah.
and my group win.
Okay.
So, it's something like that. A dilemma about the pro of one thing and the con of one thing.
Okay. What about everyday life? Do people debate things in everyday life?
Yes.
Yeah, all of it.
Okay. So debating with friends whether like what activity you should partake in. What are other examples of that? Yep. And everyday life, something that you would do in everyday life. Yeah.
Like current situations that like, for instance, if something happened in the government or something happened somewhere, like you debate with it, is it good action and stuff like that?
Okay. So I mean, what I would like to do is, I think a lot of times when we think about debating or it's a negotiation between several different parties. So I'm pretty sure some of you have gone to your professor, you write them a note. Oh my God, it's 5 p.m. I haven't handed in my paper yet. The printer broke. There was a flood in my house. I couldn't get it done. The dog ate my homework. And you find a way to like get your outcome. I need an extension. Can you please give me another day? You know, this and this happened. So if we go back to the, so I said favorable outcomes, logical consistency, factual and emotional. So if you tell your professor, I had to leave work late because something happened. There was a flood in the basement. I had to take care of that. I really don't have time to make it to class today. Can you please give me an extension until tomorrow? Does all of that have some of these ingredients? You're providing the facts that something happened at your place of work. You're making an emotional appeal because you don't have time to make it to class. And the favorable outcome is that you want an extension. So I want you to begin to understand that like a debate is not between two professionals or a politician and another politician or a boss and their employee. This can happen. I'm pretty sure when you were younger, you asked your parents, can you go to the park or can you stay out late? And you gave them a host of reasons as to why they should let you stay out late, or why you should have a cell phone, or why they should buy you a specific pair of sneakers. So I think we need to sort of humanize that idea that debating is not something that happens up here, but it is something that you do on a daily basis, and sometimes you might not even know. You mentioned activities with your friends, and you want to convince them that we should watch this movie versus the other movie. And you tell them that the other one's only on IMAX and it costs $5 more. And it starts in 2 hours. Maybe if we watch this one, it'll be cheaper and we can watch it now. So begin to think about some of the things that you do in your daily life, and that is a debate. You are negotiating amongst yourselves, amongst your friends, your parents, your colleagues, anyone in any space. You're sort of negotiating different things. I put here, it's a discussion, a presentation, an argument, or it can be a competition. In the formal sense, you're debating a particular point of a legislation or something of that matter. But at the end of the day, what you want to do is either change someone's point of view, because their point of view today is different without the perspective that you're helping them provide, or with information that you're helping provide, or you want them to change the decision. If the decision is that the paper is due today, you want to create an argument that helps them change their mind about the fact that the deadline is today, or whatever it may be. Your boss is you want to convince your boss to give you a raise, and they have one number in mind and you have a different number in mind. Or you're going for a job, for an interview, and you need to negotiate your salary. What you're asking them to do is to make a different decision based on information that you're presenting in an argument that you're making. Is that helpful? So I want to sort of tease out, these are some examples, and we'll get into some sort of the underlying principles under each one of them. So the first one says, my opponent argues that my policies are destroying the economy, but they got a C- in economics in college. You can't believe it. The second one says, minimum wage should go up because debt is a really big problem for young adults. Success is the most important and most highly respected human value. And then the last one says, species loss is at a crisis level. Harvard biologist Edward Wilson estimates that nearly 140 species are lost every day. So can someone tell me what's wrong with some of these examples? About constructing an argument, what is wrong with some of these examples? Let's go with the first one. So, my opponent argues that my policies are destroying the economy, but they got a C- in college in economics. You can't believe it. What's wrong with that argument? So brain don't matter. Yeah.
I mean, the person went to specific to the personal thing that we're talking about is
Yeah, so you're attacking their person.
yeah.
Does it matter if they got a C- or an A+ in economics? Am I wrong because you have an A+ in economics?
No, I don't think so, because even if you got a C-, you may not be completely smart, just be like, being smart.
Yeah.
Speak.
Yeah.
You have some people, they have to be smart, but they can run a company really well.
Yeah, a lot of college dropouts are not rich. So I mean, what we call this is like you're attacking the person's character. You're not supporting your point of view anymore, and you're not discrediting them any less. You're just saying you shouldn't believe them because of something that is about their character or who they are. So that's good. Let's go with the second one. Minimum wage should go up because debt is a really big problem for young adults. What's wrong with that argument? Yeah.
Lacks details.
It lacks details?
Yeah.
Okay. What else? Yeah. Raise your hand. Okay, stereotyping. What else is wrong with that argument? Are there other factors as to why young adults have debt? Yeah.
As being a state is just words.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering. There's a way to for example, the debt, but
Yeah. So I mean, there's a million reasons why. Yeah.
And also, I would say that these are actually two different statements. Minimum wage should go up can be one argument, and then characters say that. I mean, it's another argument as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, absolutely. So, I mean, you're right. So there's a million reasons why debt can be a problem. Financial literacy. You sign up for loans that have, ridiculous interest rates. You didn't know what you signed up for, and now you have a really big debt problem. You just don't know how to manage money. You might be making a good salary, but you just don't know how to manage your money, and now you have debt. You bought a car that's too expensive. Your rent is too much, and you didn't know that. So that's good. This is essentially causation and correlation are not together. So one thing doesn't necessarily have to do with the other. So the next one says, success is the most important and most highly respected human value. That's very debatable. What else is sort of wrong with that?
it's more than a
Yeah. So we can debate all day long what do I think is the most important value. You can tell me that food is the most important value, or money, or something else. So this one is simply an argument founded on the basis of opinion and not on facts and anything else.
Why you consider success.
Yeah. Great. And then the last one here says, species lost is at a crisis level. Harvard biologist Edward Wilson estimates that nearly 140 species are lost every day. What about this? How does that sound to you? Okay, so there's lack of evidence or there is evidence? Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it looks like there are many diseases like that, but we don't know if that is legitimate sources.
Okay. Is this a better argument than the other three?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, this one, you explain a problem, you identify a legitimate communicator, a Harvard biologist, and he gives you sort of, he quantifies what the problem is. We're saying there's a crisis, he's quantifying it by saying there's 140 species lost every day. So this is a better argument, you're right, it could be better written, there could be more proof, but I think what we're trying to work towards is this is the kind of argument you want to begin to make as you're crafting a perspective, or you're discussing something with someone. You have statistics, you refer to a credible messenger or a credible source. Great. So we'll go to the next one. So we're going to discuss debating skills, and then depending on how many people are in the room, we're going to break it up into teams, and we'll debate a few things. So if you don't like the person sitting next to you, find someone better. Okay, I'll sit next to you. I wanted to see who was going to get up. So I mean, the three things when we think about debating skills is research and fact-finding, logical organization, and obviously public speaking and delivery. You can have the first two ingredients really down pat, and then you go to communicate, and you can't do that effectively, and all the research you've done, and the fabulous argument that you constructed really falls flat because you haven't practiced or executed delivering it in a way that is convincing. So what is a good argument based on? And we talked about some of this stuff earlier. Facts, reason, logic, what else? Evidence. Great. You can click through it. So scientific research, credible evidence, a reliable source. So you hear a lot of times according to the New York Times, according to the Harvard biologist, according to XYZ, and your own personal experience. Like no one can, if you come into an argument talking about a topic that has to do with your own personal experience, no one can debate that. I cannot debate that your experience is wrong and that my experience is better. And I think a lot of times people like get into this competition of like who's had it worse. Like I haven't slept, I'm taking 7 classes and working full time overnight. Like you don't know what it's like. And it's like, well, you don't know what my life is like. So who am I to judge that your life is better or worse? When I was going to school, I was working as an aircraft mechanic. I went to Aviation High School in Queens, and I would work from 10 p.m. at night till 5 in the morning. I'd go home and park my car and go into BMCC for class like at 8:30 until 2 in the afternoon, and then go home and sleep from 3 till 9 p.m. So I was going to school full time, I was working full time, and I see other students who are like, oh my God, I have 3 classes and I'm working part time and it's killing me. And I'm like, well, I don't know what that feels like, because in my opinion, I had it a lot worse. But you don't know what's happening in that person's family. Maybe they're raising a child. Maybe they have a parent that's sick and they need to take care of that parent, and that's how come they're only taking 3 classes. So I think a lot of times you have to walk into a situation open-minded and not necessarily think that our differences of experiences makes one thing better or not, but sort of be respectful of each other's life experience. But if I'm entering into an argument with you, I can't negate or debate you on your life experience. Your life experience is yours, and we have to learn to respect that. So where can some of this information that you're looking for be found? Great. Without reading the screen. Oh, you can flip out scholarly articles. What else? Huh? Books. Yeah. An expert. Okay. Yeah. Cool. The library has a ton of information. So I wrote here, newspaper reports are usually very good. I would say don't exclusively depend on the newspaper, because that is a person's point of opinion, it is their perspective, it is the research that they conducted, not necessarily the one that you did yourself. Scholarly articles are very good to reference. At the end of the day, you want to have something to point towards. You don't just want to say, as we saw in some of the previous examples, that something is wrong because you think that there's a connection between two different variables. Like you want to have, I'm sure when you write your papers now, the professors are asking for Chicago-style reference or APA reference or some other thing, but you have to sort of annotate where you're getting your information from. You can't just say, like, I heard this from my mom. You have to get it from a credible source. So what this cartoon here says is, my team has created a very innovative solution, but we're still thinking for a problem for it to go with. So sometimes you think you have a great solution, but there really isn't a problem that you're trying to fix. And what this is trying to get at is, when you're constructing your argument, you have to think about it logically. You can't just say something that there's no connection between the two things. You want to make sure, I'm sure when you're writing your essays, it's like an introduction, the body, several paragraphs, a conclusion, and you're telling a story. You can't tell a story about a solution if you don't first identify the problem. So do folks have questions about the previous things that we discussed, sort of where you get your information from, who you would sort of ask to find credible evidence for your arguments? So, in the same way that they talk about, writing an essay and doing how you submit a good essay, the same thing applies for how you would sort of construct an argument when you're debating with someone. You might not, if you're asking for a favor, you might not want to start with the favor out front. Can you lend me $100? Like, my mom does this all the time. She'll call me and she's like, do you have time at 2 p.m.? I'm like, tell me what do you need first. If it's that important, I will drop what I'm doing to attend to your needs. But she will call me and tell me, I need you at 2 p.m. I'm like, well, what is it that you need? Or she'll ask me, like, are you free at 2? I'm like, well, it depends what you're asking for. If it's an emergency, then I'm going to drop what I'm doing. If it's not, I'll tell you, I can get to it at 4 p.m. So the same way that you construct your essay is the same way that you should construct your arguments when you're debating. So you first want to define the problem. I don't have money for lunch, Mom. That's the problem. I can't eat lunch today unless I have some money. So you define the problem. You scale the problem. It's been several days that I haven't had money for lunch. And then you ask to solve the problem. Can you lend me some money, or can you provide me with some money so I can eat for the next several days? And then provide next steps. Mom, I'm going to get a job, so I don't have to keep asking you for money. So here we sort of think the same way you write an essay, the same way you would think about constructing your argument. You don't want to talk about solving the problem first, because then why am I helping you if you already have a solution? So define the problem first. Talk about how it's affecting you, how much it's affecting you, how long it's been affecting you, sort of what can they do to help you solve the problem, and then operationalize that. Any questions on that? So I read somewhere talking about it, in thinking about the last point where it says provide next steps. So how many of you heard the speech from Martin Luther King, I Have a Dream? So what is he talking about in that speech? Big picture. Yeah.
Like the liberation of the African American people.
Cool. What else is he doing in that speech?
Rhetoric.
Huh?
He uses rhetoric, like repeats, like I have a dream.
Yeah.
You wish for equality?
Yep. So all of those things is a vision for the future, right? I have this vision for the future. I have this dream that we will be free, that we will respect one another, that we will love one another. That's a vision that he's painting. in that speech, at any point, did he provide you with specific examples of next steps and what you're gonna do and what I'm gonna do and how you're gonna do it? No, he didn't. He painted a vision and then at some other point in time, talked about the next steps. If his speech was all the things that need to happen for us to become liberated, to love one another, to be a free society of black and brown people, no one would have remembered that speech. Because it would have just been a bunch of homework of all the things that he wants us to do, or that he thinks that we should do for us to reach this vision that he's talking about. So sort of the same thing applies when you're thinking about an essay or a debate. Make your points, provide that vision, but at some point you have to talk about next steps. You can't just have a discussion around a vision for days and days and days. At some point you have to provide someone with the next steps, particularly if you win that argument. Because people are going to say, you know what, you're right. Your mom is going to say, you know what, you're right. You lost a few pounds, you haven't ate in a few days, I'm going to lend you some money. But then you provide a next step so that this doesn't continue to be an issue. If you're winning an argument, you then want to say, okay, where do we go from here? And sort of provide that as well. So this goes to some of these you mentioned earlier, like the two things that are connected don't necessarily equate to one another. So there are a lot of accidents on this corner, and there's no stop sign. Therefore, a stop sign should be installed. Two things don't make a coincidence, and it doesn't necessarily make a valid argument. So correlation is not causation. A lot of lawyers use this terminology: causation, correlation. But the idea is, and it's funny because I didn't know it was a ring thing. But if there are clouds, you need clouds in order for it to rain. With very rare exceptions, that there rain without clouds. But just because it's cloudy doesn't mean it's raining. So the same thing applies to some of your arguments. Just because some ingredient is present doesn't necessarily mean that the outcome is definitely going to happen. I think we saw that earlier with minimum wage and debt. Just because the minimum wage is low doesn't necessarily mean that that's the reason why people are in debt. And vice versa. Just because people are in debt doesn't necessarily mean that it's because the minimum wage is not high. So when you think about constructing your arguments, think about all the necessary ingredients for why the current state of affairs is the way it is, and how that ties to the argument that you're trying to make. So just because you got an F on a test doesn't mean you didn't have enough time to study. But you might want to make the argument to your professor that if had you had more time, you could have probably got a better grade on that test. But you can't just rely on the fact that there wasn't enough time for you to, because you got an F on the test.
So if it's not the final, that doesn't mean either that you cannot fail.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to spend about 20 minutes doing an exercise. Let me count how many people. Oh, perfect, 20 of you. So we'll break up into groups of 5. What we'll do is there will be 2 people on one side of one argument. There will be 2 people on the other side of that argument. And there will be 1 person that will be mediating and observing and then coming up with the winning team that they think best presented that argument. So if we can organize ourselves sort of like this: 2 people on one side, 2 people on the other, and sort of a referee in between. And then I'll go around giving out the topics that we will be discussing.
This art doesn't talk about like well, good job. What about it? Those are the guys.
Oh, you're gonna be the mediator?
Oh, great. Challenge them.
You're gonna need one. So what are we gonna pick? What do you guys would like, money, schools, or tests? I'm very excited. You probably don't want to be here. You sure? So one of you has to pick the side that supports it, the other one has to pick the side. Okay, do you want to be the mediator? Yeah, so one of you would be on the side of
You are for support.
Yes, we should know, but I will say not specialized, so, constructive argument, one for or one against. Spend 10 minutes with your person that you're teaming up with, sort of constructing your argument. Alright, so spend the next 10 to 15 minutes, the team that supports increasing it would construct their argument, the team that opposes increasing it would construct their argument. No, it's not what you personally think. The idea is you pick a side, and you would construct an argument with your team, and then debate that with the other team, and then you would be the one sort of refereeing and deciding who presented the best argument. Alright, so I would say spend the next like 10 minutes with your teammates constructing your argument, then we'll do a debate, and then the referee would determine who the winner is and present out to the group why they chose that team and why it made a better argument.
would say that. If you could have, let's say like counseling.
Every school has a counselor.
No,
You can't hold the other thing.
the ratio for like students per counselor is very, very small.
So she's gonna determine like what the need is.
Like,
Based on
You know how
that.
many schools have counselors where
yeah, but they only have like
they're-
in New York, how many counselors? I get it. Is it New York?
I don't know, I don't read about the counselors. Because it's not specifying New York, it's specifying.
Like, that's my argument. My argument is that why you shouldn't have that many attorneys go. Instead, you should have like more safety. Like, talks about safety. Because you just want to police. And like, maybe, like, it's brain, like, oh yeah, I'm going to school, I'm going to Yale. I'm going to, like, how am I going to school when I'm going to the prison?